I remember the exact moment I stopped being alone in my skin. It was late, somewhere between night and the pale suggestion of dawn. The kind of hour where the world feels stripped bare, like even time is too tired to move forward. I was sitting in my apartment, nursing the kind of silence that only grows in places once filled with laughter. The TV was off. The heater grumbled like an old man in his sleep, and I was 5 drinks deep into forgetting. I hadn't slept in 2 days. I couldn't. Not after what I saw in the mirror. Let me rewind. You need the whole story. It started 3 weeks ago. A worker used to work as a sketch artist for missing persons. When police had a witness but no suspect, they called me. I'd sit with someone broken and scared and try to drag memory from their minds and onto paper. I thought I was good at it. I thought I was helping. Then came case #52017. The woman's name was Maria Ellis. Late 30s. She was found wandering, barefoot down Route 9, with blood crusted under her fingernails and a look on her face like something had crawled inside her and died. The deputies who picked her up said she didn't speak, just kept whispering. It wore me, over and over. They brought her to the station, then called me in. When I entered the interview room, I knew something was wrong. She didn't look at me, just at the two-way mirror, like she was expecting something to crawl through it. Her lips were cracked, her eyes yellow with fever or fear. I remember thinking she looked hollow, like someone had scooped out the person and left a skin suit behind. Still, I did my job. I sat across from her and spoke gently, asking the usual questions. What happened? What did they look like? Can you remember anything about their face? That's when she finally turned to me and whispered, "Your face." I blinked. My face. It had your face, she said, barely audible. It watched me with your smile. The chill that went through me then wasn't just professional discomfort, it was primal. I brushed it off, made notes, and asked her to describe what she'd seen. She said nothing, just took the pencil from my hand and started to draw. And what she drew, God help me, it was my face. Not a resemblance. Not something close. It was me. Same eyes. Same crooked canine tooth. The little scar above my eyebrow from when I tripped on the sidewalk as a kid. But the smile, Jesus. The smile, it was wrong. Too wide. The teeth too white. Too many dots. I wanted to believe it was a coincidence. Maybe she'd seen me before. Maybe she was mimicking me out of trauma. But the drawing had details even I hadn't noticed. Like the faint mole behind my left ear, or the exact curl of my hair. When I skip a shower, I left the station that night, with a copy of the drawing in my coat pocket and a sickness blooming in my gut. The dream started. 2 days later. I'd see myself in places I'd never been. Standing in the corner of a child's room. Crawling through a hospital hallway. Smiling through a window at some family I didn't know. Watching. Always watching. But the worst dream, the one that still makes me wake up choking on air, was the one where I looked into the mirror and something else looked back. It moved like me, but it wasn't me. Its eyes were too deep, bottomless, and when it smiled, I felt teeth sprout behind my own lips, pushing outward, like they were trying to escape. That's when I stopped sleeping. Then the photos started showing up, first in my inbox, then slid under my door. Images of my only they weren't. Me, at a gas station in Ohio. Me staring blankly into a traffic cam. Me standing in a field under moonlight. Arms spread like a scarecrow. Places I hadn't been. Couldn't have been. Checked my phone GPS logs. Bank statements. Security footage from my building. I hadn't left. But something had worn my face and gone walking. I told myself I was being paranoid. That I was sick. That the stress from the Ellis case was warping my brain. Until the night I came home to find my front door unlocked. I live alone. I never forget to lock it. Everything inside was just as I left it except for one thing. A mirror. Propped up against the wall in the living room. Not mine. Antique looking. With a frame like twisted branches. The glass was fogged, like someone had just breathed on it. And in that mirror, I saw me standing perfectly still. Except I wasn't moving. And my reflection smiled. I ran. I don't remember grabbing my keys. I don't even remember putting on shoes. All I remember is the cold, biting night air hitting my face as I sprinted down the sidewalk. Heart thundering in my chest, like a war drum. Behind me, in the silence of my apartment, the mirror stood untouched. But in my mind, it kept smiling. That thing Mitt had watched me run. And worse, it looked satisfied. I didn't go home that night. I slept in my car, parked behind a grocery store. Engine off, eyes wide open. Every sound felt like breath on my neck. Every passing shape like a distorted version of myself, crawling toward me. I thought about going to the police, but what would I even say? It's a thing wearing my face, and it's smiling at me through mirrors. No one would believe me. Hell, I barely believed myself. But then came the second, Maria Ellis. I was at a diner the next day, picking at cold eggs and trying to work up the courage to return home, when I saw the local news report on the TV behind the counter. They found another Maria Ellis dot. Another dot, same name, same age, same fingerprints. But this one was clean, lucid, and insisted she'd never been in police custody. According to her, she'd been on vacation in Costa Rica for 3 weeks. But I'd sat across from her in an interrogation room 3 days ago. I watched her draw my face. I drove straight to the station, demanded answers, asked to speak with Detective Hargrove, the man who'd brought me in. They looked at me like I was insane. There was no Detective Hargrove, no case number 52017, no Maria Ellis found wandering route 9. They had no record of me ever being called in. I asked to see the security tapes. They showed me the feed from the night I'd been there. The hallways were empty. The interview room, I remembered, was dark and unused. My name was never signed in, but I remembered the harsh light of that room. I remember her cracked lips. I remember the drawing. I went home, stomach churning with something sour and thick. When I opened my door, the mirror was gone. In its place, resting gently on my coffee table, was the sketch Maria Ellis had drawn. The one of me. But now, it had changed. The face was longer, the eyes sunken, and the smile had grown impossibly wide. The paper pulsed under my fingertips, like it had a heartbeat. I threw it in the trash and burned it in the sink. It laughed, I swear to God. As the edges curled and blackened, I heard laughter, not loud, just under the hiss of burning paper. A giggle, like something had gotten what it wanted. From that night on, I was never alone, even in silence. Especially in mirrors, every reflection was wrong. Slightly off, a blink missed. A twitch, out of sync. I tested, it held my hand up, then the other. The reflection copied me, but always half a second behind, like it had to think before moving. It was learning. Sometimes I'd walk past a window and see myself standing still, watching me walk away. Once, I closed my bathroom mirror cabinet and saw two of me, one behind the glass, the other behind me. I turned nothing. But when I looked again, the reflection was smiling, and I wasn't. The descent from fear into madness isn't a fall, it's a gentle, quiet glide, like stepping into water that keeps getting deeper until you can't touch the bottom anymore. I started losing time. I'd wake up in strange places beneath an overpass, in someone's backyard, once in the middle of a church with candles burning around me. My hands would be dirty, my nails split, my lips bleeding like I'd been gnawing them in my sleep. Then the calls started. Unknown numbers, static on the other end, and beneath the noise, my voice, repeating things I hadn't said. Let me in. Open your eyes. You are delicious, in fear. I tried everything, burning every reflective surface, sleeping with lights on, salt around the bed. I even visited a spiritualist who ran a small shop outside town. She didn't laugh. She didn't dismiss me. She listened. She called it a mimic. Not a ghost, not a demon. Something older. Something that feeds by taking. A hollow predator. No body of its own, it needs yours. It watches, learns, wears your face like a mask. And when you're weak enough, it replaces you. She told me most people don't survive that long once. Mimic chooses them. But I had resisted. It wanted more than my face. It wanted my fear. You're starving it, she said. But that only makes it hungrier. She gave me a talisman, iron and bone, told me to keep it near, never break it, and under no circumstances should I look into a mirror after midnight. I made it 3 nights. The 4th night, I woke to a scratching sound, gentle, like fingernails on glass. I crept down the hallway, heart in my throat. The talisman burned against my skin. The bathroom door was ajar. The mirror inside was black, not reflective black, like a window into nothing. And in that nothing, my face smiled back. It didn't move like a reflection. It breathed, eyes flaring wide, like a lover seeing someone they'd waited years for. It mouthed, "Let me in." Then, it lifted a hand, pressed it against the inside of the glass, and I felt it cold and slick press against my chest, right through the mirror. I screamed and slammed the door shut. The mirror cracked with a high, ringing shriek, like it hated being denied. I didn't sleep that night, or the next, or the next. People started acting strange around me. The barista at the corner cafe flinched when I spoke. A coworker I passed on the street said, "Didn't I just see you in the parking garage?" Even though I hadn't been near it. My reflection started waving at people behind me, and then